I'm Nicole Rodriguez, registered dietitian, and this morning I'm here with Amy Hess at Bow Creek Farms in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Amy, thank you so much for having us today.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the farm here.
I'm Amy, and I own and operate Bow Creek Farm with my husband Rob. We raise registered Red Angus cattle, which we have a cow-calf operation, and we raise animals all the way through the finishing phase. But we also sell beef from those cattle in our farm store. That's where we are today.
Amy, what made you and Rob choose beef?
Over the years, when we first got married, my husband had some cattle to start off with, and it sort of developed over a 20-25 year period where we got more involved with cattle and fell in love with the Red Angus breed. And eventually, we got into selling beef to local hotels and restaurants, wholesale, and some years after that, we decided that we should open our farm up to the general public to come in and buy retail cuts.
That's an amazing story. So tell us a little bit more about the shop, because you have some pretty unique things in here and how you use literally every part of the cattle.
Right, because we do sell the beef in our farm store. When we have an animal butchered, we have to use the entire animal. Cuts like shank and short rib, even the majority of the ground beef, 40 to 50% of an animal is going to be ground burger, so we have to find a home for all of that. Even things down to some of the fat that's in the animal, we use that to make soap and lotion and a lip balm that we sell in our store. And so it's really important that we utilize the entire animal and find a home for it.
That's something a lot of people don't realize, that there's that saying, everything but the moo gets used.
Right,
and you're a great example of that. My understanding is that you have some really great programming with local restaurants too, and that they come here for some of those less sought after cuts and find homes for them.
It's true. A lot of customers that come in are looking for certain cuts that they know of in the grocery store. Almost 40% to up to 50% of the animal is going to be in burger. So it's really important for us to find a way to use that meat. And that's where hotels and restaurants really come in and help us out in that way.
So what are some cuts that I might find here that I might not find elsewhere?
Some of them, like I mentioned, the shank, that's used for ossobuco dish. Short ribs, they're sometimes hard to find in a grocery store.
Unfortunately, yes.
Some newer cuts. We have things called ranch steaks that are a fantastic cut. Anything like culotte, picanha, which is also called culotte.
Yes.
There's a new one that we just started getting cut. It's the bottom sirloin, and people call that flap steak or bavette. So there's a number of cuts that you can find here that you wouldn't necessarily, that might be harder to find in an average grocery store. You might need to go to a specialty butcher for that.
I think I even saw a tongue on your menu offering.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of, tongue is pretty popular in the central Pennsylvania region with the Pennsylvania Dutch. Some of the other organs we find a good use for, we have a lot of people coming to purchase organs for their pets. And what we don't get sold as far as organs in our store, we donate to a local zoo.
That's amazing. Sounds like happy people, happy animals.
Happy
So Amy, there's a chef you work with locally in the community, is that right?
Yes, and he's here today. Let's go meet him.
Awesome. Chef Matt, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
What do you have here?
Here today we have Bow Creek's ground beef, which we use at Troegs for our amazing smash burgers, our delicious chili, and also our Korean fries.
Well, you had me at Smash Burger, but can you tell us about some of the other unique cuts you use from Bow Creek at Troegs?
Absolutely. Occasionally we'll use the beef tongue for tacos. Sometimes we'll use the heart for our charcuterie board. And we'll also use the top round, the bottom round, and the eye round for our brejola, also on the charcuterie board.
Brejol, charcuterie, burgers. I can't get a table soon enough. And turns out it wouldn't be too tough because you all are just a mile away from the farm. Is that right?
That's very right.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing how you help Bow Creek be a more sustainable operation. I'm going to go talk to Amy a bit more about that partnership.
Of course, thank you.
Thanks. Tell me a little bit about some of the labels that I would find on your beef.
So our beef is labeled with our farm name, but then you're also going to see a USDA inspection sticker. All beef that's sold in the United States must be inspected by the USDA, and you can find that inspection on every single label.
And you have another special label that I don't see too often, but I know it's a program that lots of people in the business participate in.
Yes, that's a Beef Quality Assurance label, BQA for short. The Beef Quality Assurance is a program through a National Beef Councils, and it's a program to generate best cattle raising practices and beef production practices, all the way from vaccinations and keeping your cattle healthy. If you do have to treat an animal with a drug, there's protocols on how to do that and best practices for that. And also best practices in keeping animals stress-free, cattle management techniques and things like that.
And that program is completely voluntary, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So in addition to everything you already do here to raise cattle and bring them all the way to the table, you also participate in this program.
Yes.
So you are obviously a very, very busy woman in agriculture.
We are, because like I mentioned, we not only sell beef, but we actually raise the animals that beef comes from. So we're not just manning a store and operating that, but we're also running a farm and raising animals.
So different seasons probably look different for you and your husband. But what does a typical day look like for you between the farm and the shop and getting the beef out to the consumer in restaurants?
A typical day, we're getting up and going out and feeding the cattle. That comes first. That's number one. And then really after that, we spend a lot of our time during the day doing things like marketing, emails, answering customers' emails. We fill orders during the week and a customer can place a pickup order, so we're busy doing that as well. There's a lot of office work that's involved in running a farm that you might not think of, but in addition to that, in the summertime we're really busy growing hay and baling hay. Hay is needed to feed the cattle, supplement it in the winter when the grass isn't growing. So we're pretty busy.
Super busy, but in the midst of all of that, this is obviously something you take great joy in and great pride. What is your favorite part of being in the beef community?
I guess I'd say the people. One thing that surprised me the most, we were selling beef and in the beef business and over 10 years before we started selling to retail to the general public. That's actually been my biggest surprise, is the relationships I've managed to foster with customers. That's been the nicest surprise, is working with people.
I'm sure that is a pleasure. Well, Amy, we thank you and Rob so much for opening both your barn doors and your shop doors to us. Thank you for all that you do.
Oh, you're welcome. Great to have you here.